So you are a conducting major. What made you decide to pursue conducting?
So my training before going into conducting is really playing the piano. I played since I was very young, and at some point when I had to decide on a major in college, I was thinking, do I continue with piano or do I do something else? And I felt like the passion for practicing 8 hours a day was not there. And if I wanted to make it as a professional in like a concert pianist, I had to have the discipline needed to pursue that. And I felt like, no, this is not something that I feel really passionate about. So I was thinking, I want to still study music, I just don't know what major. Though I know that my piano skills might be able to help me in something like conducting, for instance, because when I lead a choir, I'll have to assist on the piano, or maybe I'll have to be able to read the score so that I can play all the parts together, right? So I was thinking, oh, maybe conducting might be a practical choice. But more than that, more than it being a practical choice in terms of using my piano skills, I also grew up as a church musician, and in our church, there's always a need for conductors. So it actually started with that. I was thinking, okay, maybe I can study conducting and see how I can help the church in our ministry. So it really just started with that, and I had zero experience when it came to singing. So it didn't come from like a love of singing. That's very interesting, right? So the love for choral conducting and choral music was something that was very slow in brewing. Like actually I was already in college and I was already in my masters when I was still really thinking, is this for me? Is this not? And then one day it just clicked and I said, oh, I love what I do. So it wasn't something that I was sure that I was going to do from the beginning.
In other words, you became a conductor first before becoming a chorister?
I was always playing. So, like, even in the choir setting. So, I was familiar with the choir setting because I was always the accompanist. But I was never a chorister in the choir because they always needed someone to accompany on the piano. But then, of course, when I was studying already, when I was studying choral conducting, I had to be involved in choirs as a singer as well. So that was when, hand in hand, as I was discovering conducting, I was also discovering being a choral singer.
Being a conductor for how many years? What are some of your favorite moments as a conductor with your choirs? Can you name some of your favorite moments with many choirs that you were able to handle? What are some of the moments that stood out that maybe can be your favorite time or moment with a particular choir?
Right now, what really stands out, so this was in 2018, I was invited as guest conductor of the Asia Pacific Youth Choir, which is an audition choir of people from the Asia Pacific region. So Asia and Australia, New Zealand. And this is a project of the International Federation for Choral Music. So they have the World Youth Choir and they also have the Asia Pacific Youth Choir. So there was this one year that I was asked to conduct them. And we did our season in China. We were there for about a week, worked with them for a week, and then performed together, toured over all over China. And I remember that to be a very rewarding experience because these were young people from young professionals, college and young professionals from different countries who were auditioned. That means that they already had the experience, they had the skill, and they all came together and formed a choir together of like 24 people. And that was a very enriching time because we were there not to compete, we were there to learn from each other, to grow from each other's experience because everybody had something to offer. And so there were people from Indonesia, from Japan, from Taiwan, from the Philippines, from different parts. And like through that experience, even though it was just 1 to 2 weeks, we gained lifelong friends. We didn't just learn, but we gained a whole new network of people who would be there for each other, not only within your local community, but in the Asia Pacific. So I felt that that was very enriching because it reminded me of what choral music is really about. It's about sharing, it's about community, and music is a tool. Choral music is a tool for that.
You were a conductor of an all-female choir before. So the thing is, in the Philippines especially, equal voices choirs are not that popular, are not that common. Do you prefer conducting an equal voices choir or all female, all male compared to mixed choir? What do you think are the main differences, and which one do you prefer in general in terms of the sound?
In terms of the sound, I think it depends on the repertoire. There are certain pieces I feel like really work well with SSAA, certain pieces in SATB. For instance, there are certain pieces that are arranged for both SATB and SSAA, right? Yeah, and there are certain arrangements that work better for this particular group or that particular group. So for me, it's not that I prefer a certain sound, but it is that what does a rep suit more. So it really depends on your programming, what pieces you choose that would really highlight the capabilities of a certain ensemble. The reason actually behind me forming the women's choir before, actually we do have equal voices, but usually it's in the children's choir or high school level, right? But beyond that, here in the Philippines, it's kind of rare, right? And that's really the main reason why it started in the first place. That was when I was first back in the Philippines from my studies abroad. Yeah. The reason why actually it went on a hiatus was because of the pandemic. And during the pandemic, a lot of the choirs stopped, right? And of course, the one of the challenges of being an all-female choir is that you get married, you have kids, right? Or you move out of the country, you study, you relocate. And so during the pandemic, it was also the time when a lot of the people had to leave. Many of them got married. That's one of, I think, the challenges of having a women's choir is that after you get married and after you have children, it's very hard to commit, right? So after that, we were thinking, okay, when do we start again? Because if we start again, we really have to start from scratch in a way. Yeah. So, it's still something that we've been considering, especially because I have had some health issues after the pandemic. So I have to kind of take it easy, and having to rebuild is something that will take time and a lot of effort, right? Yeah, but that was really why we started in the first place. And what I love also, I mentioned the challenge of having a female choir, but I also love that there's mentorship from woman to woman that is hard to do for an SATB ensemble, right? Because you have a bigger group with more different needs, right? But women together form a support group that is very strong, and you can really connect in an organic way. Yeah, that's what I love about it.
Also, before your stint as a conductor of Ateneo Glee Club, or
Yes, no, during, before, and then it continued on while I was teaching in the Glee Club. So when I was teaching in the Glee Club, both were happening together.
you've been a member of the jury for a lot of competitions already. In fact, you were just in Singapore for the competition there. So, as a member of the jury, what do you look for in a choir?
So I believe that, of course, because there's a criteria, right? When we judge, usually it's like intonation, fidelity to the score, is it stylistic, right? How's the artistic impression? So I think it's important that whatever music that you choose, whatever it is, because there's so many choices when it comes to choosing your music, right? Whatever music you choose, you have to do well. So it's not just a matter of, is the repertoire difficult? Is the repertoire nice? Do I love the repertoire as a conductor? But you have to be practical in that you have to choose music that your ensemble can do well. That's important. And so I look for performances that are able to give justice to the piece that is chosen. Sometimes, many choirs choose overly difficult pieces that they cannot do well. It's actually better from a judge's perspective if they choose slightly less difficult, but they do it very
Yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah.
And it's also important that when they're on stage, they're not just there to compete and to show what we've got, but it's important that you see that they enjoy what they're doing, that they're connecting to each other, connecting to the audience. Because we, as judges, we're also human. We're not there to just give numbers, right? But we want to experience the music, right? And that's something I feel that choirs sometimes forget. They always feel like, oh, we have to impress the judges. We have to do everything right. We have to check all the boxes, right? Yeah.
So on that note, did you have any experiences wherein you were a judge and then you were moved by this particular choir? You were moved, emotionally moved, not just the technical side, but you were actually moved like you were an audience. Was there a particular moment?
Yeah, there have been moments like that. And those are very special moments because those choirs that move you go beyond what you see. It's like, oh, you listen to it and you are somehow changed because of the experience. And sometimes it can get really tiring judging one choir from the other. Like there was a time when I judged a category of 70 choirs, one category, 70 choirs. And so can you imagine, like, after a while, everything is just so clinical. It's like one number after another, one number after another. Oh, where's the level of this choir? Is this gold? Is this silver? Is this bronze? So you kind of keep thinking about that without really truly experiencing the music anymore. So it's always a joy when you see a choir that transcends the requirements of a competition.